The Gray is a 2011 film that I did catch in theaters back in the day. This is directed by the same guy who brought Smokin' Aces, which I have watched. He also wrote Smokin' Aces 2. And he directed The A-Team and Narc. I have not seen either of those. But it's interesting that he also wrote Bad Boys for Life and Death Wish. Did not direct them, but did write them both. So that's pretty cool because I have seen both. And I did see The Gray, like I said, one time in theaters. And overall, I didn't love it. I didn't think it was a bad movie at all. I actually thought it was really well done, but it just didn't sit well with me. It did, I wasn't blown away or anything like that. It was also a pretty bad experience because of who I was watching the film with, but um, that aside, just the film itself just wasn't my cup of tea kind of thing. I like survival movies here and there, but it was just meh to me. But it's definitely one that stuck in my head because I really love the poem that's used in it and kind of wraps itself around the theme of the movie. So I did enjoy that. I loved Liam Neeson's performance. I've always thought it was one of his best performances that he's ever given. So I enjoyed that part. However, the film always stuck with me, and I remember talking about it to a friend of mine a few years ago, close to when the movie came out, and he kind of related the film to basically representing the five stages of death. And I remember him mentioning that specifically, and it made me think of the film even more. And recently, I caught it on Netflix. It's going to be on Netflix till the end of the month if anybody's interested in watching it. But I wanted to catch it before it left, and I can say that with this second watch, with this second viewing, I definitely enjoyed The Gray more than I did before watching it in theaters, and especially with that perspective, watching it. This is a story about man versus wolf, man versus self, man versus conscience, and a perfect, if not almost perfect, survival film. It's such a great survival story and really, really emphasizes on human emotions and the human condition. Really, really well. And like I said, Liam Neeson's performance this time around blew me away even more. I don't know why his performance in this film isn't talked about more. I guess the director, I'm blanking on his name right now. I'll put it down there, but I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. He does different kinds of movies, seeing his filmography. He definitely likes to stick to different themes because Smoking Aces is like this goofy action, spectacle, and this one is much more of a grounded character study. And he seems to really know his vision when it comes to films like this. It's very personal. It's extremely deep, and I liked that that example that my buddy used with the 5 days, 5 stages of death thing because this film definitely plays around with you know battling and struggling with faith. No character in this film really is religious or believes in anything, including Liam Neeson. So it's how the human conscience and how somebody's brain will work and try to grasp a really dangerous and terrifying situation. And I really loved one aspect of Liam Neeson's character specifically is how calm and strong his character is at remaining grounded and level headed in this situation that he's in, and especially with everybody around him, losing their minds as anybody would, and one turns to alcohol. They all witness one of the passengers that went down with the plane dying in front of them, and Liam Neeson just really holds it together with that guy specifically when he's dying, and it's actually kind of it takes you aback because usually in other movies the the character who's dying would be comforted by somebody and saying like, "Oh, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine." But Liam Neeson comes right in there and it immediately says, "What you're feeling right now is because you're dying. You're gonna die now." Straight up. And it's like, what? What the fuck, Liam? And he really comforts this guy, and tells him to look in his eyes, and is there for him, and he's describing every step by step that's gonna come forward. Like, you're gonna feel warmth is gonna take over you. Tells him to think about the positive memories with his family and stuff like that. It's really, really deep. And then I really like the scene too, where the group of guys is around the fire at night, and then one starts to lose his mind, and Liam Neeson's like, there's nothing wrong with being scared. You can admit that you're scared. I'm scared shitless. Like, he really shows his vulnerability there, and this guy is like all tough as nails, afraid to show his fear kind of thing, and is like refusing to admit that he's scared, and whether he's in denial or not, he's just one of these tough macho dudes that doesn't want to show fear because he sees fear as a sign of weakness. Where Liam Neeson is like, look at the situation here. We're in, like, I think it's Alaska that these guys are stranded in, and we're being hunted down by wolves, picked off one by one, and there's slim to none chances of escaping the situation. Unless some miracle happens and they send somebody to find them, and even like what's told about like the backstory of the company and stuff like that, it's just a shit situation. And the thing is, it's so close to reality when it comes to the work field, and especially the kind of job that these guys are in, where they are so expendable. I mean, it's not even funny. Like, it's too realistic sometimes, because you know companies not only that big, but dealing with, like I said, such a bunch of expendable people in the middle of nowhere, because that's where these guys are, and that's where these guys are working and got lost, I think, traveling home or wherever they were. But like, these guys are borderline pronounced dead right at takeoff. Okay, it's like, if they make it to their destination, great, but if they don't, fuck it, kind of thing. And it's scary, like, it's terrifying to ever, God forbid, be in a situation like that, where your mind is just taking over, kind of thing. It's like, you know, impending doom to the max. It's just, and the bitter cold. Every scene in this film looks like it was shot on location in Alaska, or whatever the setting was. It looks real. Like, this does nothing looks staged here. It looks like these people are actually in the wilderness, in the snow, in the bitter cold, and you can feel the chill. You can feel the cold that, coming off the screen. You really feel what these characters are feeling, from the fear to the physical freezing cold temperatures and stuff like that. It was cool to see that guy kind of go all beast mode when they're roasting the wolf on over the fire. Which, a little bit of a nitpick, that wolf looks really tiny compared to the rest of the wolves that were attacking them. Very random. And it's not the most important thing, but you look at the wolf roasting on the fire, and it's like, it looks like a tiny dog kind of thing, like a household pet. But regardless, he starts to like carve the wolf's head off, and then he wants to, like, show it to the wolves and be like, "Yeah, I'm stronger than you." Whatever. He tosses the head back into the forest. It's this film also blends like a lot of gray areas, and shows a lot of gray areas. Like, when I say man versus wolf, it's almost like men and wolf are kind of similar in a lot of ways. Even the way they hunt each other, because Liam Neeson was talking about the wolves picking off the humans themselves one by one, strategic kind of thing. And then he even tells the guys that, the best strategy is to turn this around on the wolves and pick them off one by one as well, to kind of, they're essentially having a war with wolves, kind of thing. A lot of people hated the fact that, There was not a lot of action in this movie, which I don't know if people expected there to be. I guess they missed the point of the film, and especially because the trailer showed like or kind of hinted at the fact that Liam Neeson would potentially be fighting a wolf with the mini bottles of booze on his knuckles that he smashed to be like shards, and I can see the point people have in that, but I still love the way the film ended with that beautiful poem. What once more into the fray, into the greatest fight I'll ever know. Live and die on this day, live and die on this day. I was trying to paraphrase off the top of my head. I didn't write it down. I didn't take notes for this film. I'm just winging this. I usually just wing my streaming reviews when I stream something. But I really like the intensity of this film and the way it was directed. It was written pretty cool too, but the best thing about this film is just how well it was directed and executed, and just the themes that the director decided to put on screen. Because this is like an elevated survival movie. It's not a typical survivor movie. Like, I would even go as far as to say this is more interesting of a survival film than The Revenant. And I remember that one survival film too, where Anthony Hopkins is in it and he's fighting a bear in the woods. I think it's like Razor's Edge or something. I might be mistaken on the name. I only watched that once too, way back in the day in high school actually. One of my teachers showed that to the class. I don't know why, but regardless, we're talking about The Gray here. Just really, really great character moments. I absolutely loved the sheer terror that was put on screen, and the hallucination moments too, when Buddy falls from the tree and then he starts to hallucinate his daughter and feel her hair on his face right before he's dragged away by a pack of wolves, kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I think I've pretty much said everything about this film. Just everybody at each other's faces. I mean, this film could have gotten even more violent if it wanted to, like to have people actually go at each other, like kill each other, kind of thing, which most definitely would happen in real life. In this kind of situation, I also love that guy who had that really hurt leg close to the end of the movie, and he sits on that log, and he just has this full realization of giving up that only he understands, and he even says that he can't put it into words. He's just looking in front of him and seeing this sunset kind of just godly image, and he's just had enough. Like everything kind of led him to that moment, and he doesn't know exactly how to put it into words how he's feeling in that moment, but he tries to convince Liam Neeson's character and the other dude that was with them that he's accepted death. And I guess that's when he hit his fifth stage of death is acceptance. And all of them go through each stage very clearly. When Liam Neeson is screaming at the sky, trying to, beg for a sign, basically, even though he made it clear again throughout the film that he doesn't have any faith in anything. But when you're put into a life or death situation like this, there's no atheists. when you're facing death, there's no such thing as atheists. That's an Andrew Tate quote, actually. He's floating all over the internet these days. So yes, I'm gonna drop a Tate quote there, in one video. He's like, yeah, when you face death, you are not an atheist. If you got stabbed to death, you're not an atheist at that moment, and in this moment too. It's the director knew how to bring out the realism in a life or death situation like this, and really, really, like I said already, brought out that freezing, frigid, cold temperature in this movie, and made a film that you can physically feel. I don't know why I didn't get so drawn into it in the theater, especially in the big screen kind of thing. but like I said, I definitely had a better time with it this viewing, and I landed on a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and it would be a film that I would buy for sure. So yeah, that's The Gray. If you've never seen it, check it out on Netflix. Streaming right now. It's like I did mention too. It's not an action packed film or anything like that, but it's a very very tense thriller survival movie, and it certainly is one of Liam Neeson's best performances. So go check it out for that. If you've seen it before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's not going to be on Netflix for much longer. So check it out while it's still there, and subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care and cheers.